This is a Bluetooth 5 transmitter stroke receiver sold by a retailer called Flybiz on Amazon. Now this is the fourth transmitter receiver that I've bought. This one being the only one that's Bluetooth 5, and Bluetooth 5 transmits twice the amount of data as Bluetooth 4.2, and it's a much better version of Bluetooth. Now the thing is, this thing will work with older Bluetooth devices, but you are limited to whatever Bluetooth version the device is operating at. So this will not boost your headphones to 5 if they're only 4.2. That's something to bear in mind. Now as you can see, it's really very small, it's well made, and it's got quite a lot of connectability, and I'll show you that in a second. This is just a quick look at the packaging. It's neatly packaged. And that's just a quick look at the specifications. And then inside the box we've got the transmitter and receiver unit itself, a USB to micro USB charging cable, an audio cable 3.5mm to 3.5mm male. This is a 3.5mm female to RCA, an SPDIF or Toslink cable, which is basically optical sound, and a set of instructions. So this device is fitted with a 400 mAh battery, and the instructions say to charge the unit before you use it for the first time. So I'll put the power onto that. It charges via the micro USB port, and as you can see, we've got a red LED there to say it's charging. The instructions say that it will run for 18 hours if you're using the auxiliary input, i.e. the 3.5mm audio jack, and if it's using the SPDIF cable, which is the optical cable, it says it will run for 15 hours either transmitting or receiving. But it also says that you can actually leave it plugged in if you're running it for any length of time, so I think I'll just leave mine permanently plugged in when I'm using it. So that is a battery fully charged now. It took just over 2 hours, and you can see we've got a blue LED to indicate that it's charged. So taking a closer look at the unit, you can see that we've got auxiliary in. Then next to that we've got SPDIF, which is optical audio in, and then we've got optical audio out and auxiliary out. So obviously the auxiliary in and SPDIF in is if you want to use it as a transmitter. The optical out and auxiliary out are if you want to use it as a receiver. So you can plug this into, say, a stereo system, and then you can transmit, say, from your phone, which has got Bluetooth, to the stereo system or soundbar and play music. So you've got the best of both worlds with one of these little units. If we go around onto the other side, you can see that we've got the DC 5 volts in, and that's micro USB. You can flick across from transmit or receive on that little toggle switch there, TX and RX. And then you can switch between a normal 3.5mm auxiliary cable or the optical cable. On the front of the unit you can see we've got 3 LEDs there, and then there's nothing on the far side. Now one thing to bear in mind is that the entire top of this unit is the button that you use to program it, which is a really nice feature. You're not searching around for the button in the dark. And actually it's quite a nice looking little unit. I'm quite impressed with the way it looks. So this is just to show you the difference between the two types of connections it's got. The one on the right is your normal headphone type connection, which is a 3.5mm audio jack. That goes into the auxiliary slot, and then this one here is the optical one. Now there's a little rubber cover on that needs to come off. And inside there is a fibre optic cable. So that goes into the SPDIF socket. And just to show you what the optical cable looks like when it's working, you can see there that we've got what looks like a red LED in the centre of that connection, and that is basically the signal. So if you can see that light, then you know that it's actually online. So it's my intention to use this unit as a transmitter rather than a receiver, but I'll demonstrate both modes. So the way that I'm going to be using this virtually all the time is I'm going to plug it into the optical cable that's connected to the back of my TV, and then I'm going to connect it to my headphones. Personally, I'm going to use the optical cable because I'm going to leave it connected all the time, and it's just there ready to use when I use my headphones. So I can watch the television normally and then turn the volume off on the TV and listen to the TV with my headphones on without really having to do much at all. That's my plan anyway. And the other thing to be aware of is that Bluetooth 5 supports the use of 2 devices at once. So you can have 2 sets of headphones on at the same time, but you can only use it in transmit or receive. You can't use it in transmit and receive at the same time. Right, so I'm going to connect the optical cable which is plugged into the optical socket in the back of my TV. The socket's exactly the same as the one that I showed you on this unit, and it needs to go to the SPDIF in, and it'll only go in one way. So we'll slot that in there. Now that now means that this unit is connected to the optical cable on the TV, and I'm going to use it as a transmitter, so that needs to be set on TX on the toggle switch. Press it down for 2 seconds, that powers the unit on, and then 2 presses should take that into pairing mode, and you can see that the blue LED's flashing. Then I'll turn on my headphones, put them into pairing mode. That's power on, pairing. And that's connected. And you can see now that the blue light has stopped flashing. Different sized sanding sleeves. Right, so that is the first set connected. And there's a convenient storage space. So I'm going to try and connect this set of headphones now, so we've got 2 connected. So I'm going to press the button twice. You can see the blue light started flashing there. I'll put on the second set of headphones and we'll put them onto pairing. So you can see that the red and blue light are flashing on the headphones. Right, and now the blue light has stopped flashing, and the blue light has stopped flashing on the transmitter, and the headphones are connected. So now it is a little bit complicated connecting 2 units to the device. Connecting one is pretty simple, connecting 2 is a little bit complicated. But the good thing is that it's got a fine set of instructions, so if you just take your time and follow the instructions, 2 or 3 attempts it took me before I actually got both connected. But once they're connected, then every time you turn on the unit and either of the 2 headphones or other 2 devices that you've got connected, it almost immediately connects to them without any further input required. So, and I've tried it several times, it works really well. I'm very pleased with how well it works. So just a little bit complicated connecting 2 devices, but doable if you follow the instructions. So the other thing to remember, if you're using the optical cable, then you need to adjust the volume on your headphones themselves. You can't adjust the volume on the headphones using the TV remote, and if you're using the 3.5mm audio cable, you will be able to adjust the volume through the headphones with the volume on the TV, but you won't be able to hear the TV through the TV speakers. I can actually run it without draining the battery by plugging the USB cable into the back of the TV and into the unit. So now that is not battery powered anymore, it's powered via the USB from the TV. So now I'm going to try the unit as a receiver. As you can see, I've got a sound bar there. Now that's showing auxiliary. So with the unit switched off, flip it over from transmit to receive, which is a toggle switch. So that's on RX now. This is the audio cable that goes to the sound bar, so I'm going to put that into auxiliary out and plug that in. So now we've got the power connected to the transmitter. You don't need that, it will work on the battery, but I've also got a 3.5mm audio jack connected into this sound bar, and what I'll do now is I'll pair my phone to this, and then I'll be able to play the music on the phone through this sound bar. That's the plan. So as you can see there, we've got JRBC05 connected. I'm assuming that that is the receiver. Right, so this is now the phone playing through the sound bar. That's the plan. Don't know how it's going to go, but I'll give you a look at the Nest first. So that's the Nest. It's quite manageable, really, compared to the other one I did. So that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. So there you are. I'm really pleased with this little device. It's the best one of the 4 that I've bought by a long shot, and it's due to all the connectivity. It's small, compact, does what it says on the tin. It is a little bit complicated to follow the instructions, so I'll be keeping the instruction book handy until I get used to it properly. But as I said, once it's actually tuned in and connected to a device, it's just a case of turning it on and turning the device on. That's all you really need to do. It's only if you need to take that device off or add another device that you're really going to need to consult the instructions. So anyway, I hope you found this useful, and thank you for watching.